Okay, we're live. Hello and welcome everybody to episode 10 of DigiTales by East River. I am Faizan Syed, founder and CEO of East River, and we are bringing you an education special today on DigiTales, this is a series we are starting in which we're going to be exploring various parts of education and experts in that field to discuss what is it that you need to know to be in that field, what line of education you should be taking, what you can learn during your 4 years of undergraduate or your master's degree. And today we have Ms. Tehmina Lodhi, the director of the Media Sciences College at Ziauddin University. How are you doing today?
I'm good, thank you. How are you, Faizan?
Thank you for being on with us today. So tell me, media sciences, it's a very hot topic, but is there really a long-term future? We had Zarar Khoro on a couple of days ago, and he said you should not take on a path in journalism. That's not the right career. Do you really feel and agree with that statement?
Well, considering that everything now is media, why wouldn't you want to venture into it? I mean, look around you, what's happening? And especially in this situation that we are right now in, without all the digital access that we have, how would we be even functioning? We've been sitting in the comforts of our home and still having access to so much. And how are we able to do that? It's through media. So why would anybody say, don't venture into media? I think this is the right time to venture into media because everything
is... And so is it specifically... But would it specifically be digital media that students should be venturing into and not, let's say, the other mediums?
No, I wouldn't specifically say that. I wouldn't say that you should ignore the other mediums, but definitely digital media is something that is going to make trends in the market now and is already making trends. So many students are moving towards digital media, but that doesn't mean that you should not go towards film or production. Of course, that is going to be all part of media as well.
And so, yes, of course, film and production, I mean, making videos is a big part of digital. But do you really need to go to school or college for 4 years for that? I mean, I look at these TikTok creators who have millions of followers, and I'm pretty sure they don't have a media background. I mean, why do you really need the educational background when you can create an audience that big without any training?
Well, if you want to create these little videos, of course, you don't need to go to school for that. I mean, everybody is now on TikTok and all these things. But I think a proper knowledge, a proper education really does improve your aesthetics overall. And if you're looking for, good stuff out there, of course, you need the formal education for that. And that's what media schools train you to be. They kind of groom your aesthetics so that you're able to create the big stuff. I mean, for normal chote videos, of course, everybody's just using their mobiles to do that. And nowadays, a lot of people are making movies on mobiles as well. So, yeah, formal education, of course, does pay off in the long run.
And so media education, unfortunately, I never had a media education. I stumbled into this industry. What does a media education look like? I mean, what are you learning in the 4 years of undergraduate or your master's degree? And is there even a PhD in this line of education?
Right. So a lot of students come into media education thinking that just because they can't do maths and accounts, they want to come into this media education because they think it's relatively easier. But let me tell you, I think it's one of the most difficult things to do because it's 80% of the curriculum is practical. So you have to have that physical energy to actually do stuff. And we start you off with very basic trainings. And at Ziauddin especially, I would say that we have a really comprehensive program and we give you different specializations. If you want to go into film, journalism, advertising, now we have the digital media field. So I think we start you off from the basics and then let you explore your path depending upon what is your interest, where do you want to go. And you kind of find your way around the mid of your degree, exactly where your forte is.
And are there enough professionals to be able to teach this subject in Pakistan? And if so, I mean, it's a relatively new field. So where did they get their professional education from?
Right. So I think teachers and finding the right kind of scholarly people to teach media has always been a challenge in Pakistan. So I've been in the media education industry for the past 15 years, and that has been the biggest challenge for me, is to find the right resource to come into the classrooms. Because, you could be great at your work, but you have to have that talent to be a teacher as well. You do need specific skills. So a lot of time, students and teachers both feel that, sometimes you can be great at your work and not be able to perform as a teacher, and that does affect, the classroom situation. But I've seen that a lot of people who are working and just come in sometimes make great teachers. A lot of people from the industry have come in and just like taken a class, and they prove to be really excellent teachers. So it's all about finding the right people.
And so you managed to find quite a few of those people in your last gig at ICRA University, where you launched the Media Sciences program. You spent about 10 years there, and thousands of kids have graduated. What do you think led to the success of the program at ICRA?
I think that we were given a lot of autonomy over there. I think that I really had a very good team with myself and a lot of autonomy, and they believed in what we wanted to do. They saw our vision. And I think that really helped shape the whole program. And it was definitely one of the most sought after programs in Pakistan. And this I'm talking about, let's say, 15 years ago when I joined ICRA. And since then, many institutions have come about. And like Ziauddin itself has come about with this program. And I feel that media schools are definitely something that is going to be the next trend, because how many business graduates do we need? How many medical students do we need? Students are looking into this field. They are looking at new avenues to go into. And I think media is one of them, definitely.
And so you went from ICRA, you set up this program, and there's a demand, let's say, for media. And then you come to Ziauddin. Now, the challenge with Ziauddin is it's known to be a medical university. It's known to be a hospital. How does a student, number one, get to know that Ziauddin has a media program? And number two, what relevance does Ziauddin have in launching a media program if it has such a strong medical background?
Yes, I think, Faizan, that is one of the biggest challenges at Ziauddin University, because it's branded for their medical program. But Ziauddin on its own has a brand name. If you talk about Ziauddin, of course it has a brand name. And that is one of the challenges of Ziauddin University, because it doesn't just have a media college, it has 13 other colleges as well. So I think slowly and gradually we are making our mark. And of course, our students, they are the brand ambassadors of our college. So if we teach them properly, if they go out in the market and they perform well, I think they are the ones who are going to spread that news that Ziauddin does have an established program, and which we do.
And how would you use different mediums to get that message out? I mean, if you're saying that the students need to get the message out and you're relying on, let's say, existing students, unless you get a strong base of students, the message doesn't really hit the market. So sort of relying on the media education, how would you market your own program? Because it is quite an interesting business challenge.
Yeah, of course, it is an interesting business challenge. And I think that, a lot. Currently, we're also doing like sessions, inviting celebrities coming in and doing sessions, and our students are taking those sessions. And I think to create awareness amongst people in the industry that this program actually exists, because eventually these students go and are hired by these media professionals. So unless the media professionals don't know that there is a program running at Ziauddin University, and that's what we are aiming at right now, letting the word out to the industry, the media professionals, that this program does exist at Ziauddin University. It's at par with all the other universities. And I think we have a really good infrastructure built for this program, because that is one of the requirements of a media program, that you have the proper infrastructure that is required for the kind of courses that we offer at Ziauddin here.
Okay, I believe you have a full studio set up, you have a radio channel in place. I mean, you have a full suite of services that you can offer. So how does that differentiate you on the training that you would offer to any student coming in relative, let's say even ICRA, for example, where you were at for 10 years?
Yeah, so I think over here, definitely we have a very good infrastructure. Also, maybe, the smaller number that we had, I think that is, I can say to a certain extent, an advantage for the students. Because, when I was at ICRA, we had a class of maybe like 40, 50 students. And that can become a huge challenge for teachers. Over here, yes, the class strength is less, so that is more manageable, and I think students get more hands-on experience, more in-depth experience here. So I think even though the numbers are small, I think the students are really getting a real kind of flavor to what they're being taught because of the kind of space that is being provided to them and the one-on-one interaction that they're getting with the teacher.
And in terms of the education itself, I mean, are there specific areas where you see a lot of potential that, 4 years out, 3 years out, I'm thinking, it's advertising or it's digital or it's journalism or, what specific areas do you feel that, we see a lot of demand coming down here? Yes, students should start focusing on this today so we can fill the pipeline tomorrow. What would you say is that specific area?
Right. So, if you would have asked me this question like maybe a decade ago, I would have said advertising, but
Okay.
now the trend has, so I've seen the trend, how it's changed. So it's gone from advertising to film production. And now from film, I think the next trend is digital media. I think that's where the future lies for students. Yeah.
And what would you say within digital? Because even digital, is such a wide field. You've got media buying, which is paid media through Google and Facebook, and learning how to use the tools and identify audiences. Then there's the other side, which is the creative side, the copy, captions, the design. And then, if you're looking at, let's say, the future, I've just been exposed to some AI tools that help you create designs that can target specific audiences, and those things are not here yet. But where do you see within that? Is it the creative side? Is it the technical side? Where's the opportunity in Pakistan?
I think that there is a market for both. I don't think any one can work independently of each other. So I would say that I can't specifically say it's creative or it's the technical side, but I feel that students themselves realize, we know when the student is more towards the creative side, so we push him towards that side. And if we see that there is a tilt towards the technical side, we feel that the students, so I think both of these are important. I can't independently say that, no, you should go towards the technical, because over here we do give you a rounded education for both both the places, like the creative and the technical side. So,
and where would a student with this kind of, let's say, background, so let's say, half of them take the technical and half take the creative side, what are some of the places they can end up working? Like, where are the employment opportunities? Because at the end of the day, that's what it's all about, right?
Of course. I think at this point, I could even say that so many students are freelancing. You don't really have to be employed with a particular organization, even though that is, you can become a freelancer. I know so many students who are not just studying, also working part-time, being freelance and working for different organizations. So yes, ideally, of course, you want to be hitting the big names of the industry, as in work-wise. Mm-hmm. But I feel with this kind of knowledge and expertise, if you do have that, you can start up your own business, you can start up your own work. I think it works really well for girls. Sometimes we have queries about how, students are not very comfortable working long hours. And I have a talk with their parents and they're like, can this be something they can do from home? And of course, yes, there are so many girls who are working from home. So I think it creates a lot of opportunity for you. And I don't think you're limited once you have the skill set, because that's the important thing, the skill set. Yeah.
And so freelance is a good point you've raised. Pakistan is known to be one of the largest freelance markets in the world. In fact, websites like Upwork and Fiverr, actually offer a lot of Pakistani resources who are, doing work at a very competitive prices. But do you think that freelance work is a long-term career option? Or is that something that just kind of fills the gaps as you're looking between employment, or, you're looking for additional revenue streams? What would you recommend to sort of the young and upcoming industry professionals? Is freelance the way to go long term?
Well, it can be if you're really focused and if that's the avenue you want to take, because I have seen so many students start up freelance and then, form their own kind of companies. That is one path that you can take. And then the other path is, yes, of course, you look at organizations that are willing to hire you with that skill set of yours. And so many organizations, agencies, production houses, they are looking for fresh graduates. I get queries like every semester, send us your best graduates for internships, and eventually they land into jobs. And the good thing, Faizan, with our students is that they don't wait till the end of the program to start their jobs. most of these students are working when they come into like that, let's say their 5th or 6th semester, they already have like something in the pipeline because they're supposed to do internships. And usually the internships, if they do well, turn into their jobs. So it's not like we're waiting till the end of the degree to get a job. They're already working while they're studying. And I think jobs are there. That's why they get these opportunities for them. Yeah.
And so this working and studying, I mean, I think that, a lot of times people wonder, does it pull away from the time that you give your academics and your on-college, sort of on-campus experience if you're working freelance during this time? Others say that actually it's great because you're applying what you're learning in theory in the classroom. You're applying the practical side of it. As an academic, which side of it do you subscribe to?
Right. So because it's a 4-year degree program, I would certainly not suggest you to start working immediately. But I think by the time you're, in your 3rd year, by the time you're in your 6th semester, that's the time you should pick up something to do. Because of course, then you're also applying that in a practical field. And a lot of times students do their thesis. And when they come to their thesis, we really encourage them to take up projects that are live in the market, so they can do their thesis, sell their thesis in the market if they can, and, make money for themselves and learn at the same time. So, so I think there's no harm if you want to start working while you're studying, and we support that. I think we really encourage students to do that.
And so I think what that does is it makes students, very good on the technical skill set, on the tool operation skill set side, if they're constantly working and, delivering. But, I think there's a part of education that has to do with exposure, especially on the design and creative side. And, we recruit a lot, constantly. And what I find is that we have fantastic execution people in Pakistan. Students come out with great execution skills because they've been studying and working at the same time. Yeah. But the two areas that they're always lacking in are the ability to communicate, and articulate thought. And secondly, the exposure to understand, let's say, sort of the width of, just knowledge and understanding and being able to take from different areas of life and apply, whether it is to a creative campaign or whether it's to media buying. I'm talking specifically to digital. How do you overcome that? And how can you compensate for that in an education environment?
I think, we need to teach them basic skills. Sometimes we presume that they're coming into university knowing the basic skills like communication skills, time management, public speaking. I think these are skills that we need to kind of groom them and equip them with, because at the end of the day, when you go in the market, you are selling yourself, when you're trying to get a job. So if you're not equipped, if you have a great skill set, but you're unable to communicate, I think there is a lacking. So in university, we do have courses that do groom you in these certain skill sets, especially I would say time management. That is something that students really struggle with, and of course, that is one of the major things in the industry. You have to be extremely well time managed to be able to deliver. So I think that while we're teaching them skill sets of being creative and teaching them technical skills, I think we are also instilling certain kind of social skills that they need once they graduate. It is a 4-year degree program, so I think over a period of 4 years, we do groom them eventually that once they finish the degree, they are ready to kind of go into the market. Of course, they won't know 100%, and a lot of training is on job, like with any other profession. But I think that they do come out ready to kind of step in and do the best they can. And I feel that, yeah.
Interesting. And so, as the market progresses, right, and then you've got this inundation of, media programs and, kids coming out with these degrees, do you think there are enough employment opportunities within, let's say, the traditional media avenues of print and television, which, have always been sort of the bigger employers of past? Do you think that if that void starts to disappear, and we're already hearing about, radio channels potentially shutting down and print decreasing in size and TV being impacted with everything that's happening, do you think digital can fill that void that quickly, or will it be the freelance market that these students will have to rely on for employment?
Well, I think, whenever something dies out, something new comes about, so it's something is always, it's like a circle, it's always moving and changing. And I can't really predict and say that, if newspaper dies out, what something else is going to replace it. So you have to be prepared. I mean, you have to have the basic skills, but you have to be, I think, in this time, you have to be a very quick learner. So even if you graduate, and let's say you graduated in journalism, and of course, like, what is the kind of viewership or readership of newspaper? There is digital journalism now, so you need to quickly gear yourself and train yourselves towards that. And that, I think, is the challenge that universities are going to now face with traditional media. Now, with things moving so fast, they need to kind of really work on their curriculum and see how things are moving and how they can adapt that. And by bringing in the latest technology into their curriculum, by, if something has become obsolete, of course, we don't need to keep on teaching that. So I think it is a big responsibility on the institutions to foresee what's going to happen in the near future, because 4 years is a long period of time. And, that becomes our responsibility to foresee that if we're teaching you something, is that going to be applicable once you graduate or not? And for that, you need people with that kind of right vision, basically.
Okay, interesting. So I'm going to switch gears. I'm going to ask you, right? I mean, in terms of, let's say, if you were to predict the future, would you bet on Facebook or would you bet on TikTok? And I'm thinking specifically for Pakistan right now. If you had to pick one or bet on one.
You know what? If you ask me personally, I would say Facebook. I'm not really a fan of TikTok. So that's why maybe I'm saying that. But yeah, I think Facebook has made its mark, and I think it's going to stay. It's going to stay. It's not something that's going away so soon.
And then if I compare to give you the option between Twitter and LinkedIn, which one would you bet on?
LinkedIn.
Why? Why is that? Twitter seems to have more of a passionate audience in Pakistan.
Well, maybe I'm old school, Maybe I think the traditional LinkedIn will stay.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then Snapchat or Instagram?
Instagram.
Why is that?
Why? I wouldn't really have I don't have a Snapchat account. Maybe that's why I'm saying Instagram.
So familiarity is the reason why.
Maybe, yeah. So I'm familiar with that. Yeah.
So I'll go to an older medium. Let's start with print, right? If you had to choose between the news and Dawn, which would you pick? Or bet on for the future? Let me rephrase the question. Which would you bet on for the future? The news or Dawn?
The news.
Survival.
The news.
Oh, the news for survival. Wow. Okay. Interesting. Why do you say that?
I don't know, Faizan. I'm just guessing, I think. You're putting me on the spot here, so I just have to kind of move.
That's the purpose of this.
My God, I mean, imagine like...
Your instinctive response is the news.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah. They have better survival skills. That's probably why. Okay, let me ask you this. FM89 or FM91? Survival. Which one would survive? Which one would you bet on?
FM89?
So you picked the news for print, but you're picking the Dawn Group for radio. Okay.
Yeah, so I'm keeping everybody happy, huh?
Yeah, fair enough. Okay, then I'll give you a TV. I'll give you one of three in TV. ARY, Geo, and I'm talking about news here. Or Summer.
ARY.
Okay.
Yeah.
Why is that?
Well, I've worked with them for a little while, so I think I'll
the loyalties. Fair enough. Fair enough. So if you had to give one piece of advice to, let's say, someone sitting out there watching this is in inter or A levels looking to get into college, I mean, what would you tell them to attract them to a career in media? And what are some of the, let's say, the requirements that they should fulfill?
Right. So I always say this to students who want to come into media: please don't come in thinking that it's a very glamorous job, because honestly, it is not glamorous.
It's not glamorous at all.
No, not at all.
It's a lot of grunt work.
Yes, it's a lot of hard work. I mean, don't think that you're going to come in here and you're not going to have a 9 to 5 job, especially after you graduate. You have to work really long hours. come in with passion. I think media is all about passion. If you're passionate about this work, I think you can really go far. But if you're somebody who, is just doing it for the heck of doing it or because it's the in thing right now, don't do it. So for students, I think students are pretty intelligent. They know what they want now. So they really don't need to hear it from me. I mean, it's out there. Look where the world is going, especially with this COVID. I think so many things have highlighted, and we know what's the next thing. And I think these kids are ready, but they're kind of confused in Pakistan. Kids are pretty confused in Pakistan. They just want to be sure. There is no guarantee to anything, Faizan. There is no guarantee to anything. I mean, even if I say, yeah, media is the next big thing, there's no guarantee to it. But from the way that things are moving, we do see there is potential for students who want to join media. There is a market. There is a lot of work. And I think that those who are interested and passionate should definitely come. The requirements are
when are the admissions, if someone was to look for this?
Right. So the admissions at Ziauddin I can speak about have started already. And we're taking admissions right now. And our semester for fall is set to begin on the 7th of September. And this time it's going to be a blended semester, which means that we're going to have some classes online and some on campus, looking at the situation of COVID. And I think that's very interesting because we managed a whole semester online, which was our spring semester, and that went incredibly well, I think. And that was a big challenge for not just the students, for the faculty as well, because we had to transition overnight. So I think, that we managed well. So we're looking forward to the next semester because it's going to be the new normal.
So it's a new way of learning.
Yeah, it's definitely a new way of learning,
Forces the rank or ramp up towards digital media onto everyone very quickly. Yeah. It's good for us being in the digital business.
Yeah.
Great. Well, thanks a lot, Ms. Tehmina. It was great talking to you. Loved learning a little bit more about the educational side of the media business. And thank you all for tuning in. Please like, subscribe our show. And if you're interested in Ziauddin University's media program, check out their website. That's, I think, www.zu.edu.pk. And I think you can find details of their program over there. Thanks a lot once again. And thank you all. Bye-bye.
Thank you.